Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you a very special project that I just finished. This is a behind the scenes video of a road bike that I just put together all by myself here. And I decided to build myself an aero road bike for a couple reasons. One is for the 2021 season, I plan to hopefully start racing in some local crit racing events here around Chicagoland. And so I knew I wanted a race bike, an aero bike to be specific. And I didn't really want to spend $5,000 plus just to be able to have a bike that can, theoretically keep up with some of the other racers here. And the second reason why is I wanted to get into a habit of learning how to maintain and service my own bike, especially nowadays when a lot of the local bike shops are really overworked with a lot of the other customers. Everyone is out riding their bikes now. And so I didn't want to take the chance of being out of a road bike for a couple days at a time just because of the backlog that my local bike shops have. So it'll be something I'll be able to do, and by sort of breaking everything down and putting it together, I think now I have a handle of any sort of issues and troubleshooting problems that might come up my way as far as servicing my own bike here at home. And what you're seeing so far is just me, for all you weight weenies out there, just weighing all of the different Ultegra R8000 components. They most certainly are lighter and more robust than my Tiagra setup here. And it would make sense because the price is like 3 times the price. In here, I'm just installing the direct mounted rear brakes. Definitely a lot more feedback with these brakes versus the single bolt or single pivot that I had on my Trackmania. And on to the front rear brakes. When I was going through this build, it was very challenging. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a lot of time spent, a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning lessons that I learned, which is why I ended up having a bourbon brake. Shout out to Eagle Rare. Next up here, I'm installing and routing the front brake cables here, and all the tools I used for the most part were from Park Tools, and yes, they are more expensive than the other maybe lesser known brands that you find on Amazon, but in my opinion, if you're going to be servicing and maintaining your bike for years to come, you might as well buy the best tools that you can afford. And as far as I know, Park Tools seems to be one of the best out there. When you buy the Yoeleo frame, they also provide these plastic clips for the internal routing and for securing the cables in place. They work pretty well. So far, I haven't heard too many rattles. I do think that they could be a little bit tighter, but for the time being, I think they're okay. In here, I'm adjusting the brake cable. Pretty easy job. And again, that's something that down the road, if you do have issues with your brake, being that I installed everything myself, I'll be able to troubleshoot it a lot easier. So this was the part of the build that, man, I was super duper nervous. I was getting poopy in my stomach because, listen guys, if you mess this up, if you mess up installing your bottom bracket and your frame cracks, your frame is done. And don't expect any refunds from any bike manufacturer on that. So it's extremely important that you do all your research, double check, triple check, quadruple check to make sure you're doing it right, because this is where it's at. This is where everything could go wrong. All of the hours and effort that I put in can easily be ruined if I mess up the bottom bracket and crack my frame. So don't do that. So just take your time, make sure you have the proper lube for the insulation tool. Take your time and it will go okay. And in my case, everything was quite all right here. As you can see, I probably used too much lube. Pause. Here I'm installing the crank arm. It's a pretty easy task. You just got to apply a little pressure with your palm to make sure everything is seated. And I mean, it's free wheel, so you're not really applying too much pressure. And of course, with Shimano, they have their proprietary bolts here, which I also had to purchase from Park Tool for the adjusting cap. It's really not that tight on there. It's just to keep that bolt seated in there, and everything is all good. Who doesn't like algae? So I went with the 11-28 tooth cassette versus my existing 11-30. I wanted something with a little bit more close ratios of gears, especially being that my plan is to race for next year. And so far, it definitely shifts very, very well. It sounds like this freaking metal tank when you're clanking through the gears. And here, using some super grip carbon paste, courtesy of Park Tool. It's very important to use this carbon paste when you're using carbon against carbon. And because you're not really torquing down the saddle post too tightly, it's important to have an extra layer of grip between the carbon components. And here, just installing my carbon bottle cages. Shout out to all you weight weenies, I'm sure you appreciate that. And of course the saddle. I didn't go with the carbon saddle just yet. I wanted to make sure I got the fit right before I spend all the extra money on there. For these handlebars, I was currently using a joystick, but the Supercasts are super grippy, man, super duper grippy. Shout out to Belize, Garifuna in the house. And this is the final product, guys. 8 kilograms for the total weight of everything. I'm extremely proud with the results. Like I said, it was a lot of work, and she's a beauty. And it didn't cost me, I would say, in fact, it probably cost me less than half of what it would cost for a typical aero bike of this quality. Deb! So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.